All right, everybody, welcome to the It's the Goose first live chat stream. This is very exciting. I hope everybody's having a great Labor Day weekend. I'm here just trying to get everything settled up. I'm going to admit my strong suit is not technology. So not only was I a little bit late, but the actual presentation is going to be a little bit visibly, possibly not up to the extremely high quality you're used to seeing in my videos, but I'm getting better with the editing, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of do it as it comes. So, again, welcome to the first It's the Goose live chat and stream. I've got a lot to talk about today. I want to start first with some channel updates, then move on to some cartoon movies and shows that I've seen and that are coming up, and then pretty much take any questions or discuss anything that you all would like to talk about. We'll see if anybody actually shows up because, like I said, there were some problems with the live stream getting everything set up here, but that's okay. Either way, it's going to be a fun time. You can watch back and we can all reminisce how smoothly this went. So, here we are. So the first channel update I would like to tell you good folks about is we have a few more videos for the end of the year. I know this year was a little scattershot as far as when videos would release. I believe on the banner it still says that there's a new video every 2 weeks, and I held that pretty well for last year. Last year I was putting out videos at quite the rapid pace, which I'm pretty impressed about, and I honestly don't know how I did it. But this rest of the year, we're going to have a few more videos. We're having one for September, October, and then one last one that's possibly going to be in November or December. And also, just a quick aside for the live chat, I do have it open. Again, still working out all the details, all the kinks. If you want to say something in there, I'm going to go ahead and try and read it. I'll do my best. Maybe we can also get that ironed out here. If not, I'll read them later and respond to them. So just a little FYI there for you. So we have had some good videos. The most recent one was Frog and Toad. I'm working on the editing. One of the big things this year, this upcoming year, this last year I wanted to get it all down. Didn't happen quite the way I wanted to. The software I was using wasn't always agreeable, but I think I found a suitable replacement. So we're going to be going forward with that. I think it's improved a little bit, at least. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to probably be taking December off, not off of making videos, but to make more videos. I want to get ahead, be able to experiment and learn a little bit more with the video editing software. So I'm looking forward to that. And hopefully you will be too, because it's only going to increase how much better visually the videos run for you. So, like I said, the last one is Frog and Toad, and I'm excited about the next one. So you're going to hear it exclusively here. The next video coming out should be on September. It's going to be out in the next week or so. So September 10th or September 17th. I'm just going to see how far I'm getting along. I'm finishing the script right now. Recording is easier. Editing has become a lot easier, so that should be quicker. But the movie is going to be Banjo the Woodpile Cat. Exactly. You might be wondering, what is Banjo the Woodpile Cat? And that's exactly what the whole theme of this channel is. What is that? Why haven't I heard of it? I need to go watch it now. Or I haven't heard of it after seeing your video. I definitely don't need to go watch it now. So Banjo the Woodpile Cat is the first Don Bluth film. And I say that with an asterisk. He did direct a Disney nativity film previous, but this is the first one written, directed by him, and produced by Don Bluth Studios. It's a really great story. If you don't know Don Bluth, he's behind a lot of, I don't want to say underground, but he's behind a lot more movies that you would assume are just a different department of Disney. An American Tail, Fievel Goes West, Anastasia, The Penguin and the Pebble, all sorts of good stuff. Anastasia, that one's one that people often think is Disney, but it's not. It's actually Don Bluth, and that one is just an incredible, incredible movie. So it's going to be Banjo the Woodpile Cat. It's his first ever studios production. It's a half-hour short film, and I'm really excited to share it with you folks because you can see elements of all his other films in this one movie. So it's going to be really exciting. You'll be able to see hints of The Secret of Nim, An American Tail. Just the artwork alone makes it worth watching. So I'm pretty excited to share that with you all. So again, look for it in the next week or so. Next week or two, I should say. And another thing I want to be doing is, this is all for next year. So I have the rest of the year planned out as far as videos go, which is good. I'm looking forward to that. But I want to do different kinds of videos. I know I have had some people comment that they do enjoy the videos, but they wouldn't mind seeing some different style topics. And look, I'm all about that. And I want to start going in that direction a little more. So what I will be looking for are recommendations from you. I want to put out a couple different videos, always relating to cartoons, but I want them to have a singular topic. So one of the ones I want to do is the best fake bands in cartoons. And one of the ones that comes to mind immediately is the one in Doug. Now I can't remember the name, but they sing that song Killer Tofu. So I thought it'd be fun to make a list of all the fictional cartoon bands and their big hits. Another one I've wanted to do is the babyfication of shows in about the 80s and 90s, because with all the successful shows we saw in the 60s and 70s, something happened. Something interesting happened where we got just little kid versions. It started with, I remember the Muppets, Muppet Babies. Then we got Flintstones kids, Tom and Jerry kids. In the late 80s, we got a pup named Scooby-Doo. It was a very interesting time. And it was because in the early 80s, we kind of had these movies like RoboCop, where it was extremely violent, become kids shows. And did you know, this is a video I've been considering doing. There was an actual Cops cartoon, and it lasted for 60 episodes off the show Cops, which I don't know how you make a show about that. I want to do it. It's just a little bit on the longer side, so I'm going to have to plan ahead. But I do want to do sort of different topics. One of them also is about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, why I believe it might just be the best franchise of all time due to its flexibility with the characters, with the iconography, with the origins. I mean, look at how many things they're in. I think they're going to be in the new Street Fighter game. They just came out with a new movie. And it's interesting. Every iteration of the Turtles gets better. Like, you had the 80s cartoon, which I love. That's my Ninja Turtles. But then you have the Nickelodeon from 2003. Then you have the Nickelodeon from the 2010s. And then you have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mayhem, and you have Rise of the Ninja Turtles, I think it's called, which I haven't seen. But somehow, the Ninja Turtles keep getting better every decade. So that's the one I've been kicking around in my head, which I really want to do. So maybe we'll get that one next year. I'm going to go ahead and read some comments here. Let's see. From Marcus Blackwell. Rockadoodle has Don Bluth's best soundtrack, and Titan AE is the best story. Okay, interesting you say that. Thank you, Marcus. I'm going to go ahead and take the other ones too, because, hey, it's just you and me here. Rockadoodle, that one is such an interesting case, because I remember owning it on VHS, and I remember watching it quite a few times, but I could never, for some reason, grasp it fully. it was always this video that I was just bewildered by. I thought it was very dark. I thought it was very, very silly. Like, I remember the owl was kind of spooky. I remember how morose Chanticleer was. And he was just depressed the entire movie. And it was just a strange balance. And it was actually, I think, one of his biggest flops, Don Bluth's biggest flops, which is kind of sad because I think it was unique. But I'll never forget either, just the bizarre... So, if for those of you who don't know, Chanticleer is this rooster who crows on the farm, and every time he does, the sun comes up. It's a cartoon rooster in a cartoon farm. One day they are not. One day the owls, like the evil owls, they make it so Chanticleer cannot crow, and the sun comes up without him. So he thinks that he was never needed in the first place, and he runs away. So from what I remember, the sun stays down on the farm and things get a little bit dicey. The owls start to take over. So it's up to Edmund, this boy, I think he lives on the farm, who gets turned into a cat, and him and some of the other farm animals go to save Chanticleer. And I'll never forget the ending of this movie. If you don't want to hear it, tune out for a minute, but he's turned back into a little boy. And I think I had read that this was inspired by Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The little boy turns back into a boy, but he's on the cartoon farm still, and he's interacting with the creatures, but it just looks so bizarre. Like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit understandably looks amazing. It's still one of my favorite cartoon movies today, but it's just, I mean, call it the budget, call it technology, whatever you want, but it's just such a funny image. Just watching the last 2 minutes of Rockadoodle is always really good for a laugh. So, let's see. Marcus, best fake bands? Easy. The Hex Girls. Oh, great one. Also, they're not from a cartoon, but the Evolution Revolution from Lancelot Link, Secret Chimp. I have heard of Secret Chimp. I'm not familiar with it, but the Hex Girls, that is a great one. You know what, Marcus? You might just have to ghostwrite all my videos. What a great idea. And can anybody remember that band in Doug? It's something The Beats. I wish I could remember it right now. But I also, so in the new Scooby-Doo, which Scooby-Doo I think is one of the, like, behind Ninja Turtles, is the show that keeps getting reinvented. But for some reason, it still lasts with people because I think the original IP is so strong. But the way it's gone recently, people are not as big on it, because you had in the 70s and let's say 80s, you had all these Scooby-Doo shows. You had the Red Shirt Shaggy movies, which were just Scooby and Shaggy. You had the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. You had Scooby and Scrappy. So Scooby was still pretty relevant and pretty popular. And then just something happened after A Pup Named Scooby-Doo where they couldn't find the best way to really utilize him. I like the movie. I saw the live-action movie. I haven't seen Scoob. If anybody has, tell me how that is. But, yeah, I Mystery Incorporated. Whoops, sorry about that. Mystery Incorporated was a really great series. I love that one. If you haven't seen it, it's a little bit darker, but I don't think it goes as dark as what I've heard Velma is. I haven't seen Velma, and something I want to do on the channel more, which I'll get to later, is sort of at least talk about more recent releases as far as cartoon-wise movies and TV shows. So I'll get to that in a little bit, though. But let's see here. I thought the Cops cartoon was unrelated to the reality show. See, I've heard mixed things about it. I haven't had a chance to watch, but I do think it's funny that it just happens to be a Cops show and a Cops cartoon. But either way, what a strange... I mean, unless the show's slapstick, which I haven't done enough research, I haven't watched it again. What an odd idea for a television show. Marcus, again, I think the Transformers are better with continuities like Animated Prime and 84. I have not watched a lot of Transformers. I think the one episode I do remember, I don't know if it was from Beast Wars, but it was a fully 3D animated one, and I thought the idea was so cool. The idea was that the Transformers cannot change into their robot forms. They're stuck in their animal forms. And they had to navigate the entire episode as their animals. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. I had no interest in Transformers or GoBots or anything like that, but I thought that was a really neat episode. So, wow. Man, you guys are giving me all sorts of ideas. Glenn Campbell deserved better in Rockadoodle. Man, I don't know what happened with Rockadoodle. A lot of his movies bombed that seemed like good ideas. So I don't know if it was just the content matter, if it was audiences weren't interested, but I don't know. I don't know what happened with Rockadoodle. I just came into the stream. I'm looking forward to seeing what videos will be coming in the future. That's Princess Ichigo. Thank you very much. I touched upon it a little bit earlier. I do want to do some new topics. I'm not going to go over them all again, but I want to do things more related to in-universe cartoons. So like I was saying earlier, in-universe bands, in-universe songs. Another one I loved was in Angry Beavers, the disco song Beaver Fever. Oh man, that one. So I have this Nickelodeon. I've also wanted to do one about cartoon soundtracks, or like Cartoon Network, not Cartoon Network, but Cartoon Network soundtracks. I remember having a Nickelodeon soundtrack that had Beaver Fever on it, and it also had a really great song from the Angry Beavers. It was Norbert and the female beaver, his love interest, and I think it was just called I Think I Like You, and it's just a duet between the two, but man, it's so good. And then there was the Rugrats rap. Hilarious. I cannot believe how many times I listened to that CD. And I also had the Scooby-Doo Snacks mix. That was always a fun one. There was the Scooby-Doo rap remix at the end, and the Scooby-Doo, that soundtrack just from the original show, Pretty Mary Sunshine, or was it Pretty Mary Sunlight? The original version and the Jerry Reed version are so good. If you haven't listened to them, check it out if you kind of like more of that 60s. The Jerry Reed version is an acoustic version, which is really nice stripped down. So thank you, Princess Ichigo. Marcus Blackwell. Actually, Chanticleer comes from an old European story. Don Bluth did at Disney with Rockadoodle, if you know what I mean. I do know what you mean. Wow, interesting. I'm glad I did Banjo instead of Rockadoodle, because I feel like I'm missing a lot, but that would be an interesting one. Also, in case you're interested, another one I was considering this year, but I feel like I didn't want to bookend the year with Fern Gully and another environmental story, because I feel like it would kind of be going over the same thing, is Once Upon a Forest, which that's a great movie. That's a really good one, so I might have to sneak that in there at some point. Prince Ichigo, the Beats. Of course, I've been saying the Beats the entire time, but you were smart enough to know, so thank you, Princess Ichigo. I haven't seen Doug. I have heard of the band, though, but I can't remember it. Thank you, Marcus. I haven't seen it, but from all I know of Scoob, it's okay, but not the best adaptation. Maybe it'd be better if Hanna-Barbera's cinematic universe got fully realized, though. See, I think that's a case of putting the cart before the horse as far as Warner Brothers did, because from the little I've seen of it, it's a story about Scooby-Doo. It's an origin story. It's a story about Dick Dastardly. It's a story about the Blue Falcon. It's a story of introducing Captain Caveman. It's a story introducing all these elements, but the problem is when you're trying to start off so many cinematic universes, you're taking time away from the central focus of the movie. So while I heard Scoob was okay, why not just make a really good Scooby-Doo movie and see how people react to Captain Caveman, to Blue Falcon? Because then you can say, wow, he was such a popular character. They were such a popular character. Let's make a spin-off. Let's do this. Because, not to be disrespectful, but who was clamoring for a Captain Caveman movie? I mean, it's kind of neat that they were in there. There was an episode of Mystery Incorporated, the Scooby-Doo from the, I want to say, mid to sometime between 2010s and 2020s, where Scooby-Doo gets sick. And he solves a mystery with all the old Hanna-Barbera mystery solvers. And the Funky Phantom appears. I think Captain Caveman, there was a couple of them, but I thought, what a neat idea to somewhat organically get all these characters into the same place. That just seems like a really, really fun way to not force them in. Because if this was going to be some backdoor pilot, meaning kind of testing to see how audiences reacted to certain things for, let's say, the Funky Phantom, it would have been the same thing that a lot of studios and movies do. Scooby-Doo is sick, and the gang has to request the help from the Funky Phantom and his crew, and the whole episode is of them. I'm not a big fan of backdoor pilots. I think that characters should branch off organically. So as far as Scoob goes, I think companies should slow down a little bit. Just make sure the movie's good first, because I don't think there's going to be a Scoob 2. I mean, it got pulled from theaters, and that was, I think, more related to external circumstances, but it's not going to help. I'll put it that way. Princess Ichigo. Beast Wars was the CGI one, I think. I do too. Man, you folks have such better memories than me. I can only remember that they got electrocuted in their robot suits, and they couldn't... and Prime, Marcus Blackwell says, I have another idea for an in-universe song. Rock the Rock from Looney Tunes show Wabbit, later called Looney Tunes Cartoons. It featured Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. Oh, cool one. I'm going to have to just send out a poll or something asking what everybody's favorite one is, because there's so many I don't know about, and I have them written down. Sometimes throughout the day I'll just write down, the Hex Girls, and somebody will see me and say, what's that? And I'll go, you wouldn't understand. Or if you did, it would be silly. But that's a great one. Thank you. I also liked those, the Looney Tunes, the more sitcom-y one. I like those songs a lot. I love the song. And I'm curious what you guys, what you folks thought of the show and any other in-universe bands or songs. I loved Kristen Wiig as Lola Bunny. I like that version of her, and I love the song "We Are in Love." Let me tell you people something. I have way too many cartoon and movie and show songs in my headphones a lot of the days. If you want to know one of the best ones too, you know what? I'm going to save that one, because that is going to be, well, I'll get to it in a little bit. Talk about Once Upon a Forest first, since less people talk about it. I do have it written down. I'm just trying to see, again, I don't want to bookend. I don't want to do, one thing I definitely do not want to do in making these videos is, one, I don't want to do videos a lot of people are already talking about, because one, I think they're going to say things better than me. Not in an ego way, but I think there's a lot of people that are a lot more qualified and a lot more intelligent about representation and metaphors and the history. So plus, I don't know how many times I want to hear somebody talk about, just some TV show or movie. Like, you can only have so many interpretations. And I think that the cartoons that I've done so far, some of them really haven't been talked about and do deserve their moment in the sun. So I'm hoping to get shine a little more light. I'm telling you, I have the schedule for next year written down. I'm so excited. I'm trying not to just spill it out to all of you. But maybe we'll get a little secret preview later on. Marcus Blackwell, the episode of Mystery Incorporated you talked about was the pilot, I think. Was it? Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought it was one of the later seasons, or maybe season 2 or later season 1. No, I don't think it was the first one, because wasn't the first one when Shaggy and Velma are kissing? That was a really oddly handled storyline. Shaggy and Velma romantic partners. Not that I had a problem with that, but there was so much weird animosity between Velma and Scooby that... Here's the thing. If you're not familiar, there's this kind of rule of writing called Chekhov's gun, I think it is, where if you introduce something into a scene, then you have to use it. So the idea is that if you're writing something and you write that there was a gun on the wall, then the gun has to be brought up again. You don't just mention it and then not ever use it again. So it sort of bothers me when they say Shaggy and Velma are dating, and nothing is really done with it throughout the series. Of course, there will be a snide remark where Velma goes, "I can't believe we dated," but I guess it did sort of affect her and Scooby throughout, but I don't know. It just seemed like it didn't go anywhere. And I like my cartoons. I understand if they're episodic that it doesn't matter, but if they're gonna be, I want it to be consistent. Not that it ever wasn't. Not that she ever denied dating Shaggy, but at the same time, it just seemed to kind of fall by the wayside, which is fine. And if you want to, here's something interesting. How did Velma, of all the gang, go from just the nicest, like, oh, she's the smart one, to her character, she became sassy. She became really sassy in Velma from the clips I've seen, but not that it's a problem, but man, if you want to go through character arcs over the years, Velma is on a spike. Like, somebody who's like, Velma is underplayed. And look at even the movies, the live action movies. Velma's an interesting character, but I will say, one of my characters who had the best transformations in all of Scooby-Doo was Daphne. And I can't remember, I think it was Be Cool Scooby-Doo. It was a show I admittedly did not really watch because of the art style. I just couldn't initially get past it. But from the episodes I've seen, Daphne is so funny. Like, if you could combine Daphne with the puppets from, I think it was Be Cool Scooby-Doo, if I'm wrong, apologies. Fred from Mystery Incorporated, where he's obsessed with traps. I mean, if you could pull an all-star roster of the gang from throughout the years and make a pretty good show. Like, there's been some incredible versions of the Scooby Gang. So, I don't know how we got on that tangent about the Scooby Gang, but hey, let's continue. Duck Dodgers covers of Blues in the Night and It's Not Unusual. Watch them, you won't regret it. I will watch them. And if you want to see some more good Looney Tunes, from specifically Daffy singing, there's that 3D, I'll have to look what it's called, but there's that 3D version of Daffy where he's on stage and Elmer Fudd is hunting him. I mean, you could just type in 3D Daffy Elmer Fudd song. It's amazing. It's really great. Looney Tunes just always does it. They always do it right. So, Princess Ichigo. I like seeing videos on shows that don't get talked about very much, since it can feel refreshing. Since sometimes it feels the same shows get talked about. I 100% agree. And there's times where I have wanted to talk about certain shows. But once in a while, if it's a movie that I think, oh, maybe this hasn't been talked about, and then I see 18 different videos about, whatever the show is, then I'm like, all right, well, maybe I'll get to it eventually, but it looks like that's been covered pretty well. I can't think of any in particular. I'm actually looking, I have some notes here because I keep a lot of notes as far as what I want to write or write about, and I have a huge list. I would actually like to share with you guys some things I've crossed off the list just for now. So I'm going to look through while also reading comments, so I'll keep you guys posted when I get that. Velma and Shaggy's relationship can't be as bad in Batman and Batgirls and The Killing Joke. I did not see The Killing Joke. I don't watch a lot of those animated superhero movies, mostly because, all right, here we go. This is going to hurt, but I'm not super into superheroes, to be quite honest. I don't find them very interesting, at least, well, I'll say this. I don't find the superhero live-action movies in theaters very interesting. It's just sort of the same thing. It's very predictable. The humor doesn't really do much for me. Of course, you've all heard that he's standing right behind me, isn't he? So, it's just not for me. But I did watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman crossover, which I liked because it was sort of a different form of Batman. It was good. I liked it. It was very enjoyable. It didn't feel like it was however long it was, an hour and a half. So it was good. I will have to, if you guys really want me to, I can watch something like that and maybe put it in the, well, again, I'm getting ahead of myself. But Marcus Blackwell, Daphne, no, you're missing out on Fred Jones. Daffy's Rhapsody. Yes, Daffy's Rhapsody. Thank you very much. Okay. So I'm going to just go through. A couple more things here as far as the channel updates, since you guys haven't said anything for a minute. So here we go. So as far as the new topics, we covered that. I do want to do more recording, but I want to do it with other people. And what do I mean? I mean two things. One, I would like to do interviews with creators. So I've recently reached out to some people, very recently, and I'm waiting to hear back. But I think part of the importance in telling the story about any movie or television show is from the creator's point of view, because I can read through notes, I can read through financials, I can say this movie was a flop, I can say it was because the studio didn't give them enough money, it was because of this, but there's a serious lack of context from the creator side, and even from the studio side. Like, I would like to hear, well, why did that art department budget have to get cut? Well, it's because the studio at this time was going through this, and the relationship with the creator wasn't great. Or from the creator side, well, at the time we were split. Like, half of our staff left to work on a spin-off show, and half our staff went here, so we were hiring new writers. I want to get to that point. I think that's something that's not covered enough of in retrospectives and reviews. I don't even know what I would call what I'm doing. In my head, the equivalent of what I'm doing, to be quite honest, is when, if you've ever seen Saturday Night Live, where Chris Farley has this show where he interviews celebrities. He interviews Paul McCartney. He goes, "Hey, remember when you were on the Beatles?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "That was awesome." I feel like that's what I do, essentially, which isn't always a bad thing. But I do want to get a little more involved with the producer. Or with the producers, the creators, just anybody, because I would really like to talk to Sarah Johnson, who did Frog and Toad, because I'm really curious about making a kids show like that. She has been involved in young adult shows like Loud House and Fairly Odd Parents in the art department, I understand, and as a director, I believe, for the Loud House episode, The Maltese Bear. But I would like to know what stipulations you have as far as creating a kids show, because a lot of kids' literature and television seems to me, and just from the little research I've done, to be very almost scientific and mathematical. You have to have certain colors, you have to have certain expressions, certain ways that you read things. So I would like to know how it goes from just creating a cartoon that's fun and silly, and of course you have limitations as far as what you can put on TV, what you can do with characters, but how different it is to make a show like that. So things like that I want to kind of go into more. So we'll take a break here and go back to the chat. Marcus Blackwell, I have an idea for an interview. Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, which is a podcast where nostalgia comes alive. Watch a few episodes first, though, but I think you'll like it. I will like that. Thank you very much. Or I will listen to it. I hope to like it. Thank you, Marcus. There are some people, so I'll get to that right now too, where in addition to creators and people affiliated with making the shows, I also want to reach out to other content creators, but I don't want to do it in a way where, well, I'm trying to choose my words. I want to do it where we actually talk about a subject. Like, I would love to have somebody on here who's really into, let's say, like we've been talking about today, Scooby-Doo. Like, that would be wonderful. I would just love to talk for, an hour, half hour, however long they're willing to be here about Scooby-Doo and answer your folks' questions. Because I'm not the most knowledgeable on every subject. I think you can tell by right now and every video I've made. But I work really hard to do as much research as possible. So to talk to somebody who also has that same level of passion, I think that'd be really fun. So if there's anybody, any content creators you'd like to see me try and reach out to, let me know. I would love to do that. And I like discovering new people all the time. I don't get too much because I try to spend a lot of time on my own videos, and I don't want there to be any parallel thinking, or I'd rather hear it in a more natural environment like this, like how we're all talking. So thank you, Marcus. Joey Baseball. I got accused of being Ben Shapiro because I said the Barbie movie was terrible. Oh no, I didn't see the Barbie movie. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people love it, and I've heard some people surprised that it was a musical. So I'll have to see it. Again, if there's movies or shows you guys really want me to see, just go ahead and reach out or leave a comment sometime. I'm willing to see them if you guys are interested in my take. So, but yeah, Barbie movie. I mean, look, if you didn't like the Barbie movie, I don't know if it's better or worse than the straight to DVD ones. Maybe if you watch all those and tell me how it compares. Because again, I like that kind of context. I like, man, the Barbie movie was terrible. But how were the Barbie straight to DVD movies? And I think those are like those Tinkerbell movies and the Scooby-Doo straight to DVDs where there's just, I don't even know how many there are anymore. It's just, it seems like there's always a Tinkerbell movie coming out or just some movie. And I wonder sometimes, who are these for? Who's watching these? Not in a way that I think they're bad or anything because I've never seen them, but maybe there is such a demand for Tinkerbell that I'm just so out of the loop because I'm not, a little child. But it is Disney, so they must know what they're doing. Joey Baseball, it's not a musical. Yeah, sorry, I misspoke. So I know it's not a musical, but I heard there are songs in it. So it's a movie with music in it. Thank you for the correction. All right, so interviews with creators, live streams, guests. So yeah, if you guys, if you all would like to hear some guest interviews, definitely let me know. Definitely let me know. All right, so I want to talk about some movies and TV shows that are coming out. We'll go one more for Joey Baseball. Now I can't simply not like something without being called alt-right. I don't know, maybe it's the people you're hanging out with. I don't know what to tell you on that one, Joey, but thank you. Okay, so the first one that I want to talk about, because I feel like since I talk about such old movies and TV shows, that it might be fun to bring you up to speed on things I've been seeing lately. I don't really get to watch a lot of television or movies, but I do try and check them out once in a while. So let's go first, and I want to hear your folks' opinion as well. Let's take a look here. Who saw the Super Mario Brothers movie? I know, right? We're only a day late and $1 short. If any of you have seen it, I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't. But I will tell you a couple things I did like about it. Starting with probably the most controversial was Mario's voice. I have to say, I liked it. I thought Chris Pratt did a good job. I thought he was that everyman, and I thought he captured what Mario could only be. I mean, I know Charles Martinet, who's been the voice of Mario, pretty much the first voice of Mario. I don't know, was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show before Charles Martinet voicing? I'd have to look that up. But he's retired from the role. And Chris Pratt, of course, has been the most recent version of Mario with an extensive speaking voice that we've seen. And I thought he did great. I'm curious what other voice he was supposed to have, maybe more Brooklyn. Now, myself, I'm a Captain Lou from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. I thought he was great. I loved those live action segments. As a kid, I didn't get it at all. I didn't understand the jokes. I remember goofy sound effects, but I thought Mario and Luigi are real. This is who they are. This is them. That's my Mario and Luigi. But I did think the voice acting was great. I loved Princess Peach in it. She was so much fun. I know they could have gone a different route, making her more like the games, which I'm glad they didn't. Peach has such a fun personality now. It makes me want to see how she's going to be in the next movie. And it makes me want to see a lot more of Princess Peach now that I think about it. Because we did get a lot of characters. We did get Mario, Luigi, Peach, and, Donkey Kong and Bowser. But they did a lot of traveling. And I just want to see more of them talking and hanging out with each other and just interacting, which I think is a really good thing in the movie. If you can go through an adventure and just want more of the characters, then I think you're doing something right. Now, here's what, as far as critics go who didn't like the movie, this is why I again say context is so important, at least for me, why it's interesting to me. And I agree with some of the criticisms as far as, and I'm just going to touch on this one thing unless there's something you folks wanted to bring up. a lot of people said that the movie was shallow. It was short on story. And I agree and I disagree with this. Now, I agree with them because there was a lot of things that were brought up that had wonderful setups that I don't think were followed through on. The scene with Mario at the dinner table with his family, saying his father saying to him, you know, you're just kind of a dead end. You're at a dead end space in your life, and you're bringing your brother Luigi down with you. And Mario's obviously upset. Wow, what a great. It's such a softball, and it's really done well. And I was excited to see how Mario was going to solve this or how he was going to react throughout the movie. What point would be brought where this comes up again. And it came up again with Donkey Kong when they were talking and Donkey Kong would say, "Oh, you know, my dad thinks I'm a loser too." And Mario goes, "Oh, he does? My dad does as well." And I thought they were going to have this moment, and maybe it would have been a little predictable, maybe even a little bit by the numbers, but that's the moment you go for if you're setting it up in the movie. But instead, Donkey Kong goes, "Yeah, well, I get why your dad thinks you're a loser," or something to that effect. And I thought, man, what a real missed opportunity. And then at the end, they have the, Mario and Luigi save the city, and their parents are proud, but that's not really where I think the moment was supposed to come, because the parents didn't, see, this is all, now I'm like getting into, well, what were the parents doing or thinking at the time? But Mario and Luigi, they didn't know the adventure, the parents didn't know the adventure they were on, so they just see them saving the city at the end, so they don't realize what a big overtaking this was, and now they're proud of them because they saved the city. Well, okay, well, that's one day. So, but here's the thing. This is why it doesn't bother me as much, and why I think critics sort of gloss over things, and why I think context is important. So, if you know anything about the Mario games, they're very silly, in a wonderful, great way. And Shigeru Miyamoto, Mario's creator, has said that he wants to keep the stories purposefully light, especially after Super Mario Sunshine, which, funny enough, if you want some trivia, that's my favorite 3D Mario game. I would say Super Mario Sunshine, then Super Mario 64. I gotta say, I know we're getting a little controversial on this, but Super Mario Galaxy, a little bit overrated. But we'll get to that another time. So Miyamoto had said, especially after the reception that Mario Sunshine's story got, where Mario is put in jail and he has to do community service cleaning the island because they think it's him messing it up, he wanted to especially keep things simpler. So he also said in an interview that's the approach he went with in the movie. So if you wonder why the movie is just very save Luigi, save the brother, this is why. So it's not like they set up these things. I mean, maybe they did, but it's not like they made this movie like, oh, let's just have it be he saves Luigi and nothing else. It's because Miyamoto wanted it that way. So when you look through it through that lens, maybe it's not that I'm more forgiving, because I still think there were some missteps as far as payoffs go, but it makes me understand more the reason things were done. And I think as a critic, that's what you should be looking for. Context is a huge thing. Now, of course, anybody can walk into the movie and they say, well, who's this? Who's this Mario guy? Well, then, without any context, of course, the movie's going to be a little more difficult to follow. But if you do have that context, and you do know who Mario is, and you do know the reason why, I'm not expecting anybody to read the interviews before they go into the movie, but I think that's sort of your job. If that is your job as a critic, as somebody who's going to be critical of a movie, to sort of do a little, maybe a little research as to why before you write this review or you write this retrospective, because I can just watch a movie and say, Rock-a-Doodle-Doo was not very good. It just was this, and then when I read something, oh, well, the studio had this problem, the budget was cut, this, well, okay, now I can be a little more understanding and say, I would have liked for this to happen, but it didn't happen because of this. So that's my long-winded Super Mario Brothers rant. Let's catch up back with you good folks. So Marcus Blackwell, I saw it and it's movie of the year for me. It's not deep, but it doesn't have to be. I'm glad I went through that huge rant and then read your comment. Princess Ichigo, I saw it. I had a really fun time with it. Joey Baseball, I did see Mario. Very fun movie. Yeah, so, and also, this movie, as far as references go, I don't think I've ever seen a movie fit so many references in that weren't blatantly obvious. Like, there was no wink to the camera. Like, when Mario and Luigi are running in Brooklyn to the house because their car won't start, and they're jumping on the construction site and jump over the fence, that's supposed to be World 1, Level 1. Like, if you map it out, who would ever know? Who would ever conceive that? But those are the special touches that say, because people would say, oh, the sound effects, they're just playing to nostalgia. Well, you can hear a sound effect, and I don't think that takes away from the movie. But with those details, and there's a lot of details, that made it really fun. It was one of those, the more you know Mario, the more you're going to get out of it. So it was a real treat being able to see almost every scene felt like this is a reference to something. So I'm hoping next one we get Wario. I'm not banking on it because it seems like, well, post-credit scene, you'll know why, but hey, we can wish. Joey Baseball, it's a different thing. It's essentially a reboot. Okay, gotcha. I'm assuming for Barbie. Marcus Blackwell, Sound of Freedom and Super Mario movie were the best movies of the year in my opinion. Haven't seen Sound of Freedom. Not sure what it is if I'm being completely honest. Again, I don't really watch a lot of TV or movies. And doing this channel, I've been watching less real life movies, if that is one, than animated ones. Joey Baseball, I don't think it was shallow. It had a beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, and that's a great way to look at it. It's a contained story, and it was good. I mean, if they never made another Mario movie again, and I think they're already working on the sequel, I'd be totally fine with it. I could point to that Mario movie. That was a great movie. Look at it. It ended and it was fun. Although, I do have a question. So at the end of the movie, when Mario and Luigi jump through the pipe, again, I'm not going to give spoilers, but when they jump through the pipe, well, I guess you guys will, so if you answer that question. Anyway, so we'll get off that. That's my main concern too. But then again, Mario and Donkey Kong are frenemies. That is right, Marcus Blackwell. They are frenemies. But I do like that they had a little bromance there at the end. Super Mario Odyssey is my favorite 3D Mario game. For the mainline series, I just can't get into it. I know that it was impressive, all the physics with him running around the. Oh wait, sorry, you said Odyssey. Okay, haven't played Odyssey. It looks really fun though. I like the freedom you have in it. Yeah, that's a cool one. I would like to play that. Lest we forget about Peaches, which should be awarded a Grammy. I did like that song. Before I saw the movie, I'd heard all the hype about Peaches, and I gotta admit, I was a little worried that it was gonna be too silly, too over the top, and it was. I think, if I'm being honest, I did have some problems with Bowser towards about the halfway mark towards the end of the movie, because I liked how dominating he was, how evil, how threatening he was, and I feel like after he got so into Princess Peach that it almost became, I mean, it was a direction they took, and I'm not mad at it. Still, it didn't affect the movie too much, but I did like that more threatening version of Bowser, especially when he was beating Mario up at the end. That was pretty fun, so I was a fan of that. Marcus Blackwell, Sound of Freedom is a movie about Tim Ballard, a former Homeland Security agent who tried to reunite two siblings who have been sold in child slavery. Tim Ballard is a real person. You know what? I actually do... Sold in child slavery. I think I do... I have heard of that one. Yeah, that was the one where... I believe I saw an interview where Tim Ballard said he wanted to have a Christian actor play him since he was a Christian. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, that's a... Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I think I've heard of it, though, so I have to keep my eyes peeled for that one. The next movie we have touched upon a little bit that I did see was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. That movie, man, what a fun movie. What a really great movie if you like Ninja Turtles. So I've been a fan since the very first incarnation of the Ninja Turtles on television, I mean. And Ninja Turtles, I said it before, but I feel like Ninja Turtles just gets better with every version that comes out. I haven't seen Rise of the, or From the Shadows, or Rise of the Ninja Turtles, the newest Nickelodeon show where Raphael is the leader, but man, this one was such a fun movie. I'll just get my small gripes out of the way. I think Donatello and Michelangelo, I think Donatello should have had Michelangelo's voice. I didn't dislike Donatello's voice or Michelangelo's, but I don't know that it was the best voices. I'm sure they were great, like, directed wise, but I just the sound of it didn't register quite right for me. But I thought it was very cool, the comic booky look. Here we go. The comic booky look. It was a really interesting art style. I really liked it. It was cool. It did give off that kind of scribbled vibe, but the characters just looked so colorful. I mean, if you see right now, I'm putting a picture up of them right now. It's just so lush. Look at that green, that blue, the way the colors reflect off their green. It's just so visually appealing to look at, like the whole movie is. I liked okay, so here's a couple things. So if you haven't seen it, Jackie Chan plays Splinter. I think he's good. In the more, I don't know, I feel like he was a little bit held back. I would have liked a little more expressiveness, but there's a really funny gag. Probably my favorite thing in the movie, where Splinter, and I'm not gonna spoil anything. Splinter is worried about the Ninja Turtles, his boys, being captured by humans and milked. Yeah, you heard that right. He's worried about them being milked. So it's a really just odd thing that keeps coming up in the movie. But the payoff for the resolution, as far as that, we'll say, running joke goes, is really funny. It's just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen, but it's really good. And it's definitely one of the best Ninja Turtle movies. I mean, I would say, man, the first one and the second one, the original Ninja Turtles, the indie movie, and then the Secret of the Ooze, those might be my favorite, but this one might be third. I mean, I've seen the one where they travel back to Japan. That's an interesting one. I mean, if we're not counting the 2012, maybe it was the 2009. It was the Nickelodeon one where the turtles are gigantic. Those ones where they meet the 80s counterparts. I really liked that one. And then they had the 2012 version where the 3D turtles met their 80s counterparts. And I love it. But the only thing is, I get that they were silly, but they weren't incompetent at fighting. They were pretty good fighters. So it does suck a little bit that they had to be trained like they're complete know-nothings. They're still Ninja Turtles. I understand their world might not be as edgy, but I do want to see the 80s Ninja Turtles be able to kick a little more butt. But, we'll see. So I'm curious if you guys saw it, what you all think about it. Then the last movie I'll talk about is don't have a picture for it, sorry, but one I'm looking forward to. Well, actually, let's go ahead and we'll check the chat really quick, see what's going on with you folks. Marcus Blackwell, it's as bad as people say, I promise. Sound of Freedom or Peaches, or I'm not quite sure which one. Sorry, I'm talking a mile a minute, and sometimes I get a little mixed up in the chats. The 2012 TMNT is best because it balances out everything from the dynamic of ninjas and teenagers, the origins, and the balance of comedy and drama. So I'm going to assume that you mean the 3D one, where they're 3D animated. That one's great. I love that one. My favorite Ninja Turtle is Leonardo, so they did a lot of focus on him. And I thought that the two Nickelodeon shows were great as far as that goes, because I always like the leaders in shows. Like, my favorite Teen Titan is Robin, and I love the episode where him, and then Leonardo has a similar one, I believe, where they go to train with the ancient master. I really like that storyline, and they did something sort of similar in this TMNT Mutant Mayhem movie, where Leonardo struggles with being a leader, but I don't feel like there was enough of showing why he struggles or why they don't listen to him, just because because they want to be free and he wants to obey Splinter. But then sort of towards the end, it's kind of just rushed through, and he sort of gets their respect because he gets their respect. So not the biggest gripe. I understand what they were doing and why, but I would have liked to have seen that a little more fleshed out. But if that's my biggest complaint, then I think I'll live. Marcus Blackwell, but turtles don't have breasts, or do they? You're asking questions I'm not knowing the answers to. I think robins do, though. Doggy Rascal, I love you. Thanks, Doggy Rascal. I love you, too. Marcus Blackwell, yes, I mean the 3D animated one. The Ice Cream Kitty song is a bop. Wow, I don't even remember how that goes, but I'm going to have to listen to it again because I loved that one. That was a really good one. So a movie I'm looking forward to is the third in the trilogy. So I don't know if you all are ready, but who's ready for Sonic the Hedgehog 3? I am pumped. So I am going to go into a little bit of spoilers here with the second one. So just my experience with Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is my absolute favorite cartoon character of all time. My favorite fictional character of all time. I just think the character is designed amazingly. I think the personality has been perfected. I think it was actually perfected a long time ago, if I'm being honest, but it's sort of gone up and down as far as how the personality has come through. But even at its worst, it's still great. I mean, it's still just such a identifiable, likable character. And it's funny because I think that Sonic is the perfect character in everything except his games. I like the games a lot. Like, I love Sonic Generations. I love Sonic Adventure 2. I like Sonic Unleashed. Sonic Frontiers, I think, is a step in a wonderful direction. I'm going to stop saying wonderful. That's annoying me how often I'm saying it. But I think it's a step in the right direction as far as the 3D Sonics go. And I can't wait to play Sonic Superstars. I want to have those two branching versions. Sonic Generations just got it right. I mean, if I'm being honest, I'm not entirely sure why they didn't just sort of go that direction. Is it that hard to have Little Sonic run in 3D? You can do that if you just want to have Little Sonic. But the movies were such a springboard for getting the character back to respectability, because I was worried. I was actually willing to give the original Hedgehog version a chance when they showed that original design. And I was thinking, it's not the Sonic that I was expecting, but I do want to give the director and the team their own shot at it. And ultimately, I am glad they changed it, but I would like to see a version with that old Sonic in it, if I'm being honest. So Sonic 1, I like better than Sonic 2. I think Sonic 2 is weighed down a lot by the human aspect of it, which, if you can cut that from the movie, I think all the human stuff and the mountain stuff from Sonic 2, and not the mountain stuff for their snowboarding, I think that's fun. I think when Sonic and Knuckles start to try and get along for a minute, that's great. But where they're dancing, where they're having that dance off, and then all the human stuff in Hawaii, I mean, it didn't do much for me. It really, I remember sitting in the theater thinking, this is really dragging the movie out. So I'm really excited for 3, though, because if you haven't seen 2, well, I'm going to spoil it for you right now. At the end, Shadow the Hedgehog is unleashed from his cryogenic prison. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. I'm interested to see how they handle it. I've seen a lot of things online where they're saying, who should voice Shadow? It should be this person. It should be this person. I'm excited. I think they're going to pick somebody good. I'm hoping. I've got faith after Idris Elba's Knuckles, who was hilarious. So Sonic 3, I cannot wait. And I know it's being filmed right now without actors, which is kind of a drag. I'm hoping it'll come out sooner than later. And I hope Jim Carrey's back for it. I don't know if he will be. Maybe Agent Stone is going to take his place and he's going to be Shadow's sidekick. I don't know, but I guess we'll see. Let's go back to the chat, see what you folks are saying. Marcus Blackwell, I asked the turtles have breasts question because of what you said on the joke that Splinter is worried about the turtles. Oh yeah, sorry again. When I get on these long rants, I sort of lose track and focus, but that is funny. Princess Ichigo, I'm looking forward to it. All right, me too. Joey Baseball, TMNT has been rebooted like 35 times. Comics, movies, TV, even a stage show musical. I'm telling you. Okay, as let's go as far as TV versions that keep getting better. Because I know the musical that is that's interesting. I'll give him that much. And yeah, the comics are great. I know they have the new one where it's the classic turtles, which is really cool. That's really awesome that they have those classic turtles in New Adventures. I haven't read them. I don't really get to read a lot of comic books, but I'm hoping that they're awesome, and maybe I will be able to check them out someday. And if there's something you guys want me to do besides just TV and movies, I'd definitely be open to it. I just don't know a lot of what you folks want to see. So that's why I try to reach out and comment. But yeah, anytime, like I said, reach out and I'll try and get back, or if not, I'll at least read the message. And who knows, maybe you'll give me an idea and it'll end up on the show. Let's see, what was the other one? Oh, so here's the last thing I had scheduled to talk about as far as cartoons go, is Tiny Toons Looniversity. Who all saw the trailer? Who all saw the clip with Buster and Plucky Duck? So for me, Tiny Toons was always my favorite over Animaniacs. Don't get me wrong, I liked Animaniacs, but I felt like that was a little too tongue-in-cheek, a little too wink at the camera, where Tiny Toons would do that. They would have the occasional joke, but it was still very focused on not breaking the fourth wall, still more telling a story, where I felt Animaniacs was more about gags. So I definitely get why people like that more, but I was always a Tiny Toons Adventures person myself. So if you haven't seen, the trailer has dropped, I want to say within the last 2 weeks. And there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of speculation, and there has been a lot of interesting commentary on what's going to happen with the series. So I want to start by just addressing those. The biggest one, I think, is that Buster and Babs are no longer friends. I mean, they are, but they're also brother and sister, which that was an interesting choice. And I understand why people didn't like it, but here's the thing. Buster and Babs did have a few romantic incidents or romantic interactions. I remember just off the top of my head, the prom episode, they would sometimes get into, oh, I'm going to kiss you. I'm not going to kiss, whatever you want to say. But that wasn't a big focus of the show. So as far as it being a huge problem, I'm willing to give that a shot. Also, I'm just checking that the stream is still running. So if somebody can just give me like a thumbs up or something so I'm not talking into air, or just say I can hear you in the chat, I'd really appreciate that. So it's not the biggest deal, but at the same time, as just a fan myself, I do like them being friends, just friends and not related. And I don't know, it just feels, I don't want to say forced, but it feels like, why are you doing that if it's not going to have any bearing on the story? Now, if it does have impact on the story, great. Or if they're able to find new gags with it, of course. But I think you can make more out of two people who aren't related. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say you can make more jokes about that. Then, go for it. But anyway, I understand why it bothers people. It does bother me, but not in a way from a creative standpoint, just in a way that I like that old stuff. I like how it was. I like my Tiny Toons the way they were. So it remains to be seen. What's more jarring for me is the animation. I'm thinking it's Flash animation, but Flash animation has has a very different look to it. I think in Frog and Toad, for something that's less action oriented, it looks better, because Frog and Toad, if you saw my video or if you've watched it, it's a lot more slow paced. It's a lot more conversational. It's a lot more subtle movements. And something like Tiny Toons, there's a clip out there, if you haven't seen it, where Buster and Plucky are fighting over the top bunk of their college dorm. And the gags are funny enough, whether or not they're your style, of course, that's up to you. But it looks very stilted. It doesn't look flowing. It doesn't look very natural. And that sort of takes me out of it a little bit. It shouldn't, and I'm not going to let it impact how I feel about the show, because the show ultimately is about the writing, I think, and the characters. But I would be dishonest if I said it wasn't a little bit impactful on my viewing experience, or at least my initial impression. But we'll give it a shot and we'll see. See if this is a little clip. I'm gonna have to get that fixed, that screenshot, because yeah, we have a long way to go on the live chat, but at least you can hear me. That's the most important, because I'm putting up different pictures, and oh, they're so splendid. You would all love them. Let's go to the chat really quick, though. Marcus Blackwell, I know something else you can review. Starlight Express by Andrew Lloyd Webber, the guy behind Cats the Musical, which is an original story written by him based on his love of the Railway series. Excuse me. I will put that down. I do know Andrew Lloyd Webber, not personally, but yeah, I'll have to check that out. He's pretty accomplished. So, Princess Ichigo, I love Tiny Toons more than the Animaniacs as well. Princess Ichigo, you and I, we have the same brainwaves going on. I like it. Marcus Blackwell, Chicken Run is getting a sequel too. I have heard that. Chicken Run would be a fun one. I've been wanting to do more videos on different types of animation, not on the type, but shows that are done in different animated forms. I had a great request that somebody had jogged my memory with on a video, where they said they wanted to see a video on a puppet show. And I have just the one. I'm not going to say which one, but that's scheduled for next year, so I'm really looking forward to that. Princess Ichigo, that's something I noticed about Tiny Toons as well. There's more focus on the story, whereas Animaniacs, aside from Rita and Runt, it was more focused on the gags. Yeah, because, and you'll look, a lot of the compilations you see on Animaniacs videos are of the fingerprints joke, or this gag, this wink at the camera, this meta. I mean, if you even watch the Animaniacs reboot, they say something in the theme song like, we did meta first. And hey, different, different things for different people. Like, I don't dislike Animaniacs at all. I like it, but I like a little bit more of the focus on the story, and I think Tiny Toons was a little more focused on that. But I do like in the new theme song how they say something about they're paying the out-of-state tuition fees. That's really funny to me. Like, I like that a little more. But I'm interested to see how it's going to turn out, because I feel like this is... I don't want to put words in the air and make it happen, so maybe I'll stay away from that. But I'm hoping for the best. And the voice acting is a little bit interesting too. I don't know that... and of course, this is all from 30-second clips. This is all from a theme song from... So we're going to see, but there are new iterations of characters. Let's see if I can actually bring that up here. There's... surprisingly, Elmira is back. I don't know in how big of a capacity, but I was very surprised to see her, because I know the voice actress had mentioned that she wouldn't be coming back, and I don't remember off the top of my head if it was that she, the voice actress, or Elmira wouldn't come back. And I know there was some controversy over who owned the Elmira character from the Pinky and the Brain show, if I remember, something along those lines about licensing the character. Or not licensing, sorry, using the character. But maybe they got that fixed. So either way, I'm looking forward to that. And there's some new characters, of course, some old returning characters. So Shirley the Loon looks different. She has kind of sort of a bowl cut. It's going to be really interesting to see how they update these characters. Like, I don't mind Buster's hoodie or Babs's sort of overcoat, and I think Sweetie Bird is her name, the pink one. She's also getting sort of an updated version as well. Hampton is going to be the guy who tries to be funny, but he's not funny. There was a clip of him trying to slip on a banana peel, but he can't do it. So they're definitely taking a lot of these characters in a different direction, which, we won't know how it is until we actually get to the show itself. So all we can do is really sort of cross our fingers and hope it turns out well, because I want Tiny Toons to succeed. And this was actually going to be the second video I ever did, but sort of ended up going to Garfield because I just couldn't. I think now I can finish it, but it's sort of something that I've been thinking a lot about, how people hear the word reboot and they get mad, or they get upset, or they get scared for a lot of understandable reasons. Because if this reboot fails, then it can mean your property being dormant for another 20 years, or it can ruin the legacy, or it can do a whole lot of things. It can just lay it to bed forever. Like, there's some shows that have been rebooted that don't go well, and it's just like, this is not a viable property, so we're not going to do anything with it. I mean, I don't know. This isn't ultimately true, but one that I think about that is like Felix the Cat. I mean, look at Felix the Cat, one of the first, if not the first, like major franchise character, and they just sort of didn't know what to do with him. They did a lot of different versions of shows with him. And I remember they had the, I want to say 1991, maybe 80s or 90s movie with the hilarious line where he's walking in a cave and he sees a skull, a human skull, and he goes, "Looks like someone can use a Big Mac," and he just laughs and laughs. But that's a character who just could not sort of get out of that limbo of reboots just not being successful. Sometimes characters and properties don't resonate the way they did back when they were popular. And so I understand how reboots can, how they can lead to fear from fans. But on the other hand, I do think that reboots can be amazing. I mean, like I said, the Ninja Turtles seem to get better every year with their TV shows. The Scooby-Doo franchise, that one's had some ups and downs, but even if they're not appreciating their time, like, I want to watch Be Cool Scooby-Doo because I see clips of it and it looks really funny. I want to see these reboots that maybe just didn't get a fair shake. So I think that reboots are kind of this double-edged sword. And, the Tiny Toons, maybe after the Looniversity, maybe I'll do that video. But that's one of those new topics I kind of want to try out. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So I'm really pulling hard for this new Tiny Toons Looniversity show. And let's get back to the chat. Let's check it out. I give you a thumbs up. Don't worry, Marcus Blackwell. You are a saint on earth, my friend. Thank you very much. Joey Baseball says, "I hate that they're calling it Tiny Toons Looniversity when the original version was called Tiny Toon Adventures." Yeah, I think it's really done to differentiate the show. I'm assuming, one, because you don't want to just call it Tiny Toon Adventures to reboot it. I know a lot of shows and movies do that. But Tiny Toons Looniversity, I don't have a problem. I'm wondering if it is going to be a straight reboot because it does look the same. And in Tiny Toon Adventures, I don't know if it was a high school. I think it was an actual Looniversity, right? So they're calling the show by what the establishment really is. So it'll be interesting. It's these little details, this minutia that we're going to see if it matters in the long run. But it comes out, I want to say, in a week or two. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, look, anytime you get new Tiny Toons, I'm for it. And the good thing is, too, about reboots is that if it does not do well or if you don't like it, you can always go back to the original. So here's to hoping that I can go back to the original and enjoy the new one, too. Joey Baseball, "None of the original cast is returning for Chicken Run 2. I can understand not wanting Mel Gibson." Interesting. I wonder why. Not the Mel Gibson part. I wonder why none of the the original cast isn't returning. That's, all right. Well, I'll have to look more into that. I'll have to keep my my eyes posted. Thank you, Joey Baseball. Marcus Blackwell, I think I said the thing about more puppet shows. Oh, okay. If that was you, then awesome. Thank you. So your wish is being answered. I'm surprised at how many people I try to reach out in the comments, and I think I did a 1,000 subscriber thank you, which also thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. I mentioned it in that video. I originally only intended to do a Robot Jones video because I didn't see any other reviews on it, and I would see them, like I would see the occasional one, but every title and every video was, remember this crazy cartoon? What a weird cartoon. This cartoon's just so odd. But they never quite talked about the cartoon. And there was no analysis about it. It was just, remember this point in history when they showed this weird thing on TV? So that really struck a chord with me. Well, people are saying, remember this, but they're not telling you what to remember other than this was a show. So that kind of inspired me to do the Robot Jones one. And after that one, it didn't even have that much success initially. And I said to myself, well, a couple people are watching it. I had maybe 5 or 10 views. And I said, well, if people remember that, maybe they'll remember the Garfield specials, because those holiday specials on TV, those were really amazing. Like, I know Garfield is sort of this running joke now himself, but there was a period in time where Garfield was the sort of pinnacle of creative direction as far as adapting a character from, I guess in this space, comic strip to screen. And you had Here Comes Garfield, which had the amazing music of Lou Rawls and I want to say Desiree something. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting her name, but listen to that soundtrack. Move Me With Your Rhythm is the third one on the soundtrack, I believe. It's incredible. The Halloween song and the Garfield Halloween special. Yeah, This Is the Night. That's a great one too. That scene, the Christmas scene where Garfield is sitting on Grandma's lap and he gives her the letters. Those are really incredible. And I think that, I mean, there's a million videos of people saying the Garfield movies suck. Well, okay, you might not like the live action ones, and, you know, I might not even like them if I do or not. But have you seen these classic ones, the ones that really made Garfield a household name? Because you can say that the Peanuts Christmas special is a classic, and I agree. But don't sleep on those Garfield ones. You know, Peanuts did it a couple times, and Garfield did it too. And those ones were, I believe, maybe it was the Halloween one that was an Emmy Award winner. But they were all nominated. I think at least they had 2 other Emmy nominations. So they were really good. So that's kind of why I ended up doing the channel, because these movies and shows that weren't getting the proper respect and validation that I thought they deserved, I wanted to at least say, first of all, I remember them, who else does? And second, these are worth being remembered in a light that isn't just, you know, to say, man, look at how weird this is, look at how silly this is, because for people like me, they really meant a lot. I loved Garfield growing up as a kid, so I know others did too, and I just wanted, I wanted the video to be a common space where people could say, yeah, I did too, and I loved this, and I grew up with this, and I watched it recently for the first time, and I loved it. So it's all, you know, it's just about a community. The videos are just for fun, but they're really to just connect with everybody here. Man, so was that feel good, warm? Did everybody's heart get warm and grow 3 sizes right now? Let's go back to the chat. Yes, the puppet shows. Thank you, Marcus Blackwell. Joey Baseball. I would argue that Garfield did meta before all of them. He literally speaks in thoughts directly to the reader-viewer. That is a great point. Joey Baseball, you're onto something, man. I feel like you guys are really surprising me with your takes, like in a good way, though. It's things I haven't thought about. But yeah, Garfield is very meta. I mean, look at the comic strips. The comic strips alone. I used to have those Garfield books, just read them for hours and hours and hours. And yeah, Garfield really was meta. And that was done in what, the, I want to say late 70s, maybe 80s. I mean, that's, hey, there's always going to be a meta character who was the first meta character. But yeah, that's a great point, Joey. That's awesome. Thank you. There was never a character that spoke telepathically before Garfield. Yeah, yeah. Maybe the robot from The Day the Earth Stood Still. I think he did speak telepathically. I can't remember off the top of my head. Joey Baseball says, Garfield just doesn't sound right without Lorenzo Music. He died of lung cancer in 2001, and his voice can't be replicated. Because Lorenzo Music was Garfield, he didn't put on a voice, it was Lorenzo. I did love Lorenzo Music as Garfield. He's always going to be Garfield. I thought Bill Murray did a good job, though, in the movies. The script wasn't all there as far as how good Garfield could be. I at least thought the first movie was okay for what it was, but man, I would have loved to have seen. I think it was Jim Davis who wrote, in part, the original Garfield specials, or like Here Comes Garfield, the original televised Garfield movie. But he was, yeah, I think Bill Murray could do a good Garfield. I believe Frank Welker, who does the current voice of Scooby Doo, does Garfield now, which that's it's his own version of it. So I can understand if people enjoy it. I can understand if people prefer the Lorenzo Music, or we have both. So if you don't like Frank Welker, you can always go back to the old Garfields. But having a Garfield cartoon, as long as the character's still in the zeitgeist, that's the important thing, I think. Joey Baseball, Lorenzo's regular speaking voice. Yep, that's true. I remember seeing an interview with him about how he got the part. I don't remember how it went, but it's an interesting interview. He's a cool guy. Princess Ichigo. I know there was a cartoon on CBS during the last few years that CBS programmed Saturday mornings before they let other companies program Saturday morning cartoons for them. Okay. A cartoon on CBS during the last few years that CBS programmed Saturday mornings before they let other companies program Saturday mornings for them. Oh, for Felix. Okay. Huh. Is it a recent? Oh, you know what? There was a 3D Felix, I think. If I remember, in the intro, he goes in a submarine or something. Princess Ichigo. That might be. I don't want to be wrong, but I think that might be what you're talking about. Marcus Blackwell. I have another idea for a video. The Railways of Crotunia, a YouTube show that features crossovers for different universes like Mr. Men, Thomas the Tank Engine, and the Little Engine That Could. I have considered doing YouTube shows, but I haven't really found any that I've known about on my own. I've had some recommended to me, but I would have to look into that a little more. So thank you for again, if you folks want to slap me with your recommendations at any point, feel free. Let's see here. I have Marcus Blackwell. I have a good reboot for you. Carmen Sandiego 2019. That's a good one. There's also the Magic School Bus, the reboot, with man, I cannot remember anybody's names today. She was on Saturday Night Live. Not Kristen Wiig, but the one who came after her, who did sort of the same shtick. But yeah, she was the voice of Miss Frizzle. I have seen those. I actually was considering doing the Carmen Sandiego game show. I believe there was a game show about it, because I haven't done a game show yet. I was thinking maybe that, or Double Dare, Legends of the Olymec, but that one's been a little bit overdone. But I haven't seen anything on the Carmen Sandiego game show, so that one's definitely a feather in the cap currently. You're welcome. You deserve even more. Marcus Blackwell. Not sure what you're referring to. Again, I get kind of lost and I read the chats after these long-winded rants. So I'm hoping you mean, I don't know what I hope you mean, but I'm hoping it's a good thing. I'll say that. Jordan Fringe talked about Robot Jones. Not familiar with Jordan Fringe. Again, I don't watch too much YouTube or television or movies. I'm trying to get a little bit more out there for my own sanity as far as watching them, and for you folks. So Jordan Fringe. Okay, I'm not familiar, but I'll have to check him out. Also, Here Comes Garfield by Lou Rawls. Yep, great song. Lou Rawls, man, that guy had quite the career. And if you want to look at somebody else who's had a good career in animation and, I believe, music, Scatman Crothers, who's also the voice in the newest video coming out in the next week or two, Banjo the Woodpile Cat. So check that video out. That's, I think, going to be my tightest script. I think it's going to be one of my best ones. 100% honest. So and I'm very critical on my videos, as I should be, because I think the quality's going up. Hopefully you guys are noticing it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see. Joey Baseball. I love the Garfield live action movies because without them, we would have never gotten the Garfield show or specials in DVD without it. That's a good point, and that's the thing I was talking about, the reboots. So Garfield was rebooted in these movies. Not rebooted, but it was a different version. So I'm going to just loosely use the term reboot into these films. And yeah, we got those. And one other Garfield... See, here's the thing. There's a lot of people who want me to do more Peanuts reviews. Like, there's the one where... I can't remember what it's called, but the little girl gets cancer. There's Run for Your Life, Charlie Brown, I think it is. There's the one where he goes to camp and they have to canoe against the bullies. There's a lot of, and some new ones. I think there was one called Your Special Marcy or something. And that one is, I can do those, but I also don't want to do videos on franchises I've done before, because there's a couple, like I would love to do the Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. I think that'd be a fun one because I remember that movie as a kid and I want to watch it again. But I also want to just do more things. I want to do more, and I'm trying to get better at time management as far as making these videos go, because next year you're going to see a lot of videos. So it's important that I sort of, in my head, branch out to new things as far as the topics go. And I would love to do more Scooby, or I would love to do more Charlie Brown or more Garfield. But, well, at the end of the video, we'll have a little talk about that. All right. Joey Baseball. The live-action Garfield movies never had a chance at being good without Lorenzo music. That's why the Chris Pratt Garfield isn't going to work. You can't do Garfield without Lorenzo music. Okay, here's where I think our opinions differ. I think you can still have a good Garfield movie, because I think if you had a good script for the Garfield, like a better script with the first Garfield movie live action wasn't a terrible movie, but it just wasn't. It was very for kids, which, if you guys have seen any of my videos, you know that that shows are for kids, but kids shouldn't be talked down to in these shows. You can still have adult things. There's a Garfield strip where where Odie brings John a newspaper, and John goes, "Oh, Odie brought me a newspaper." Then Odie brings him, his slippers. "Oh, Odie brought me slippers. Like, is there anything this dog can't bring me?" And then Garfield has a woman's leg in his mouth, and he goes, "How about a woman?" Like, that's not for kids, but it's still hilarious. Like, a kid will find it funny and they won't know why, but it's humorous for adults. I think you can have a successful Garfield movie, because look at those holiday specials that we were talking about earlier. Those ones are really funny and they're really good, but they can still be for kids. You can still have those silly moments, but man, those are good. Even as an adult, when I watched them a couple years ago, those are great movies. So I think you can, but I think they just play down to the most, well, this is what kids like about Garfield. Well, I don't know if kids like that he's fat and eats lasagna and hates Mondays, but that's not his whole character. Those are parts of his personality. He's rude, he's lazy, he's selfish, he's needy. Like, that's what I like about Garfield. Like, the fact that he hates Mondays, that's relatable, but that comes from a very selfish place from a character standpoint. So I think there can be a good Garfield movie. I just think that they really have to go back to what made Garfield Garfield. And I think that sometimes it's hard to see the forest from the trees when you have this character who is almost a joke now. But, he's the most widespread, I think comic book or comic strip character of all time, maybe second to Peanuts or third or something, at least in the top 5, but he's that for a reason. Man, we've got a lot of rants tonight, haven't we? Let's see. Marcus Blackwell. Isn't Peanuts somewhat meta? I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Marcus Blackwell. Snoopy, in a way, spoke telepathically. Yeah, he was more, a little more physical. He was a little more Mr. Bean with his communication. Joey Baseball. Bill Murray did a good job. Did as good of a job as you could do. but you can't replicate Lorenzo music. Same with Frank Welker. Bugs Bunny can be played with other actors as well, like Billy West and Eric Bauza, because Mel Blanc was putting on a voice, and they can't replicate that voice. Hey, I agree. I agree 100%. But the characters do live on past their voice actors, and it is a risk to go with somebody else, and not everybody's going to be happy with it. But I think the important thing is, even if the voice isn't perfect, that the character lives on, because man, Mel Blanc was perfect as Bugs, and I think there's been a lot of good Bugs Bunny voice actors after. But how terrible would it be if once Mel Blanc died, that Bugs Bunny wasn't in circulation anymore, that none of the new cartoons were made? I mean, that'd be awful. I would hate to live in a world without new Bugs Bunnies and Looney Tunes. So I definitely get where you're coming from. They cannot be replicated ever. But that's kind of what I like. I like other people's interpretations. I like all the new Scooby-Doos. I like the new Sonic the Hedgehog voices. I like the new characters. They're fun. All right. Let's see here. Oh, Kate McKinnon, Marcus Blackwell was Miss Frizzle. Thank you. I am terrible with names tonight. Joey Baseball. Lorenzo Music wasn't. Oh, okay. He only had one voice. Garfield. Listen to the compilations of all the voices Lorenzo Music did. They're all the same voice. Garfield. Yeah, and then, of course, there's that widely known... for the Ghostbusters cartoon, Lorenzo Music did the voice of Bill Murray's character, and then ended up later being Bill Murray doing Garfield. So it's kind of a funny happenstance. Princess Ichigo, Lily Tomlin. Yeah, there was a Carmen Sandiego game show on PBS. That's right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Princess Ichigo. That one I do want to look into a little more. Marcus Blackwell, Defunct Land covered Carmen Sandiego. All right. Well, we'll see. I'll do a little research on it. I don't like to watch other people's videos, because if we happen to cover the same territory, so be it. But I would rather find my own take on it. So we'll see. The quality was always there. Don't worry. Thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that. I figured I'm gonna have a lot to learn about getting the visuals down, but I can at least make sure the scripts are good. So the scripts haven't been perfect. My recording hasn't always been perfect. I know the sound hasn't always been perfect, but I feel like we're starting to slowly get there. So I'm trying to learn all three at once quickly. Do the Peanuts musicals like Snoopy, the musical, and Flash Beagle. Marcus Blackwell. Yeah, so again, there's a million Peanuts movies I want to cover. A lot of shows that I would like to do. I wanted to do Fern Gully too. There's the Josie and the Pussycats in Space. There's a lot of shows that I would like to get to, but it's sort of hard to balance. Well, do I take the couple weeks to do a new video on a franchise I've already explored, or do I do one on something I haven't seen yet? But there is a solution I'll get to towards the end of the video. Joey Baseball, I honestly don't like any of the Peanuts movies except for the 3D one from 2015. Interesting. So even the old ones, that's a take I haven't heard before. But I do love the 2015 one. I think that one is a really, really solid one. And the fact that it was written by his kids is even more impressive to me. But that one, they knew exactly what buttons to hit. And just the characters. They knew the characters inside out, which was so impressive to me. It looked great. I know that was the same company that was supposed to do a Popeye movie, but they didn't end up doing one, which, look, I can understand. Popeye is not a character who is going to be a big draw at the box office. That's why it always surprises me sometimes when, even if it's a character I love, I grew up with Popeye. I think he's really funny. I think he's cool. I like it every time I go to the store and I pass by the Popeye spinach. But are kids clamoring for a Popeye movie? Are adults, are they nostalgic for a Popeye movie? So that it was canceled, it's not ideal, because I would like to see more Popeye, but at the same time, I don't want this Popeye movie to cost $10 million to make and then make $1 million, and then, well, Popeye's going in the back shelf forever. I'd rather have him come out with a movie that does service, or whenever people are ready for Popeye, when they got Popeye spinach fever, and then go from there. All right, let's see. Princess Ichigo. It seems like even though Garfield is a bit of a joke, he was so dominant in the 80s with the holiday specials and towards the end of the 80s, Garfield and Friends. Oh, man. Garfield and Friends. I love that show. That was such a... It's amazing how they captured... If I remember, the movies came first and then the show. Man, what a good job they did. What a seamless transition to go from, first of all, from the strip to the paper, which... Think about it, 3 panels. And sometimes they would have maybe a week long or 2 weeks long of a continuous story in the panels. You're making 30-minute, hour movies of this character, and all you have to go off of is black and white strips. They're winning Emmys. Then you go to the TV show, which I don't know if it was nominated or won any awards. The show was incredible, and I'll say this, I have been considering making not a Garfield and Friends video, but the and Friends from the it's Acre Farm, it's something Farms. I thought that would be a fun one to do, but we'll see. That's in the chamber right now, so we'll take a look. Joy Baseball. The Garfield movie was a good kids movie. It was a bad Garfield movie. If it was a movie about a cat who rescues a dog, it would have been great. But when you make it the definitive Garfield movie, no. Yeah, I mean, look at the Mario movie. It was the same plot, essentially. It was Mario has to save Luigi. I mean, that's sort of a running thing for kids' movies. Homeward Bound was kind of the same thing. They're trying to find their way home. Garfield has to rescue Odie and they find their way home. I mean, it's just sort of I'm not going to say it couldn't have been a good movie because there's a lot of kids' movies, I think, that are out there that now are good. And maybe they shouldn't have been good, but they end up being good. So I don't know if it's that a Garfield movie can't work. I think it's they haven't found a way to make a Garfield movie work yet. Because I like the original live-action Garfield movie over The Tale of Two Kitties. And, you know, however much you like the first one, I can say I like it more than the second one. So, look, it can be better and it can be worse. So, let's see here. Marcus Blackwell, you have to be an actor who loves the character and will go above and beyond like Frank Welker with Scooby-Doo and especially Fred Jones. He does love those Scooby characters. He has been doing those forever. I thought that Lorenzo Music was Dan Aykroyd's character and Frank Welker was Bill Murray's. Was it? I thought that the whole thing was that Lorenzo Music and Bill Murray sound so much alike they ended up switching roles. Not intentionally, but from my memory. Joy Baseball. Lorenzo Music first supplied the voice for Peter Venkman, who was played by Bill Murray in the films. Reportedly, Murray did not like that his character sounded like Garfield and the producers replaced. Is that true? That's hilarious. What a weird world we live in. Marcus Blackwell. Popeye was Sony Animation. It was canned for the Emoji Movie. Oh, well. Yeah. Well, at least Popeye wasn't. I haven't seen the Emoji Movie, so I can't say if it was good or not, but I know the reception it got. And, yeah, it looks like neither of those was getting out of there alive. Joey Baseball. Music with Dave Coulier. But in reality, Murray was simply stating that his character sounded like Garfield, not criticizing it. Okay, so he was just saying it sounded like Garfield. That's funny. Joey Baseball. Popeye is still very active, especially in the streetwear world. I have many Popeye shirts. He is. I can't remember. I saw some cool Popeye sort of Letterman jacket, I think it was. It looked pretty cool. Yeah, he is still relevant. I mean, a lot of those cool, iconic, old characters are, but as far as modern cartoons go, I haven't really seen anything that I can think of with him in it. Hi, Danny. Welcome to the chat, the live chat. Oh, and you're Harley Quinn, I think, from what I can see. So rest in peace, original Harley Quinn voice actors from the, what I remember, animated Batman series. Honestly, Garfield was so big in my mind because he was really edgy early on when Davis was allowed to draw more wildly. I agree 100%. A lot of those old ones, there was a strip where John was looking for his pipe, and then he goes, "Where's my pipe?" In the last frame, he screams Garfield, and you see Garfield smoking a pipe. I know that doesn't seem very edgy now, but, well, maybe back then it wasn't edgy. Or maybe it was edgy. Maybe it's edgy then and now. Kind of like a full circle thing where back then, Garfield taking the pipe was more of a funny thing. Like, it was like, oh, look at this cat, he's smoking his pipe. But now it'd be like, whoa, first of all, Garfield's smoking. That in itself is pretty funny. But yeah, no, I agree. Garfield was a lot more, he was a lot more wild back in the day. The strips were really funny. If you go back to those old ones, I'm telling you, check them out. They're really good. U.S. Acres. Thank you, Danny and Princess Ichigo. Those are, I love those U.S. Acres. They were really good. It's amazing that not only did you have one successful Garfield cartoon, oh yeah, let's also throw a really funny, hilarious side project on there that's really good too. Yeah, U.S. Acres. You guys you're all starting to convince me. I might have to bust out the, I mean, is it technically a Garfield video if it's about the U.S. Acres? You're all starting to convince me a little bit. Marcus Blackwell, American Acres is the Garfield thing you were thinking about. Okay, now I don't know what it was called. Everybody's confusing me. Joey Baseball, Garfield never got tamer. He was edgy at first, but then Bart Simpson came and told people to eat his shorts, and suddenly Bart Simpson became the edgy character. Yeah, I mean, look, every 10 years or so, you're going to be replaced. Bart was replaced by Stewie or Cartman or whoever you want to say it was, and I don't even know how you can get edgy again. I mean, when the next edgy character comes, we'll talk about them and we'll say, I can't believe that they did this. So that's funny though. I know another idea, Quest for Camelot. Not familiar with that one, but I will have to look into it. Thank you for the recommendation. Princess Ichigo, Garfield and Friends were so successful that it didn't even get canceled due to low ratings. New episodes stopped because they felt they had enough episodes to rerun them for a long time. I am not 100% sure on that. I do think, from what I remember, that it was actually a really popular show, and that it was cut due to, if it was CBS, I can't remember. We're just going to say the network doing budget cuts, and I think I don't know if it was the entire animation department or just that show in particular was deemed too expensive and they ended up cutting it. But that was actually a really popular show from what I remember. This is funny. It's just the topics we're all talking about. It's good though. I love this. This is exactly what I wanted. I thought Bill Murray's character was Ray in Ghostbusters. Marcus Blackwell, you might be completely right. I'm just going off what I tried to remember, but that's why I do the research first and put it in writing. Joey Baseball, the funny thing about U.S. Acres and Garfield and Friends is that CBS wanted to do a Garfield show, but Jim Davis wanted a U.S. Acres show, so the compromise was 2 Garfield shorts and 1 U.S. Acres short. Yes, and you know what? Everybody won out because that Garfield show was fire, and that U.S. Acres show was so good. I remember the little, the egg, and he was playing pinball in there, and I liked the chick and the lambs yeah, it was a great show. I love U.S. Acres, and I love Garfield and Friends as a whole. American Acres, Marcus Blackwell, was the only other project outside Garfield that its creator worked on. Yes, that's true. Princess Ichigo, yes, it was CBS. All right, look at that. I remembered something. Danny, if I remember correctly, CBS ended its animation block. It led to Tiny Toons going to Fox, actually. Okay, well, that would make sense, if that's true. Again, this isn't the research portion of the thing for me. I'm just impressed, honestly, that I got the live chat working and that you guys can still hear me and that you're all still here. So again, thank you folks for being here. It's really cool. This has been a lot of fun. I can't believe an hour and 55 minutes has gone by. Joey Baseball. Oh yeah, sorry. Jim Davis had just started the U.S. Acres comic strip. Was it a comic strip? I didn't know that. Maybe I did, so he wanted to promote it. He felt Garfield was popular enough and didn't need the exposure of a Saturday morning cartoon. Interesting. Okay. Man, now I'm really feeling like I have to do a U.S. Acres video. CBS ended the animation block in 1997. Okay. Thank you, Princess Ichigo. My mistake then, Danny. Okay, so here's the thing. The stream was supposed to go for 2 hours from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I mean, hey, we got about 5 people in here. If you guys want to talk for a little bit longer, I mean, if you want to do another, 15, 20 minutes. If that's what you folks want to do, let me know. If I don't hear back in the next, 5-10 minutes, then we'll just go ahead and wrap up at, we'll say 9:05. But if you want to go for, we'll say 9:20 or 9:15, 9:20, we'll go ahead and do that. So let me know if you all want to continue on with that. Let's see. Joy Baseball. Have you ever read the U.S. Acres comic strip? It's pretty good, but it didn't last nearly as long as Garfield, which is still going after 46 years. I haven't. I did not know that it was a comic strip. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Maybe I had read it at one point, but I didn't. So we might be getting a U.S. Acres video coming out. Let's take a look. Marcus Blackwell, have you thought about doing classic shows from the 50s and 60s, like the Roy Rogers show? I have thought about doing those. Actually, I do have a... Let me take a look. Let me find my notes really quick, because I do actually have some older shows planned coming out. Yeah, so, okay. I have a movie I'm scheduling to do for early next year that is from 1942. I'm really excited about that. I haven't done something that old. So, yeah. So, be on the lookout for that. I got so much fun stuff next year. I'm pretty much doing every video that I've wanted to do in the next year. So, I guess we can, let me take a look. Okay, sure. Danny says sure. Ichigo says sure. Danny, I think a video could easily be made about Wacko's Wish, the Animaniacs movie that ended the OG series. Yeah, so I'll never forget Wacko's, because I always liked Wacko. He was my favorite one. And I remember the movie coming out, and it was on VHS. And I don't remember much of the movie, if I'm being honest, except the ending, which was, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna go ahead and go through with it. I'm sorry. He gets a hay penny, and I think I can't remember, but for some reason I think they're maybe trying to get the hay penny. It's a race movie, and at the end he gets something to make a wish, and at the end they ask what he wished for, and he wishes for 2 hay pennies, and I just thought that was so silly. But yeah, that was a good one. All right, 9:20. You all convinced me. I mean, we got what 3 or 4 out of 5 people saying that to keep going to 9:20. All right, then we'll do it. All right, thank you, Joey Baseball. All right, Marcus Blackwell, what about a video on the history of Howdy Doody? I ask because I don't see one on YouTube as of now, but I see plenty of episodes. I have wanted to do more history of videos. The first 2 I've done, I think I've only done 1 history of, and that's the Bambi Meets Godzilla. And there's 2 problems with it. One is I talk so fast during that video. I just run through it. I feel like I've been talking a little bit fast tonight too, but that's because I'm not recording, so I'm talking in a little bit more of a natural voice. And number 2, I think it's gotten a little bit more... Oh, well, yeah, I think... I don't know. The editing with that video is just disastrous all over. And I think that the script had potential. I think it was okay. Again, I think all my videos need to get up as far as quality, as far as the writing, but I'm trying to learn all of that kind of on the fly, because if I didn't, I would just be sitting on one video for months, and I don't want to do that. I want to get into the rhythm of putting things out on a schedule. So I'm kind of flying on the seat of my pants, learning as I go. So I would like to do more history of videos, but I did the history of the Alien song, and maybe people just aren't as familiar with it, or it's not as interesting to people, but that one didn't do very well, so I might give another history one a try. It's just that I know with certain ones, I kind of try to do those history ones of shorter videos, because 1, I wanted to get them out sooner, and 2, because doing the history of them, I mean, some of the videos, a lot of them I do are historical ones. I mean, I watch every episode of every review I do. So, yeah, I might not know the entire history, but I try to go through everything. So, it's just gonna... Yeah, I'll see about doing another history video, but I feel like they kind of all are, unless... If it's a series like the Parappa one, for instance. Like, I did sort of a history on that one. But it was also a, kind of retrospective review, whatever you want to call it, on the series. So I don't know. I'll definitely keep that in mind, though. Just have to find a different angle. Joey Baseball. As far as different voices go, the character Arthur Reed has been the wildest change in voices over its 25-year run on PBS Kids. I also enjoy the Arthur books, but the PBS cartoon of Arthur is so dope. I love that one. Yeah, Arthur was great. I love the theme song. I also want to do a video on cartoon theme songs, but with the way YouTube has its copyrights going for sound, I'm really hesitant. That's why I know a lot of people mentioned to me, well, can we hear some voice clips? Can we hear some sound clips of the cartoon? And I want to. I think it would make the reviews make a lot more sense. But I don't want to risk a copyright strike or a video being taken down because I had too many seconds of music or of a sound clip. That's why none of the videos have music, if I'm being completely honest. So maybe I'll get it figured out. Again, I think I might have a solution, but I'll get to that before we end the chat tonight. Let's take a look here. Frog and Toad was... Oh, Marcus Blackwell. Your Frog and Toad video was something of a history video. It was, but I did leave out... and I don't know if it was you or who... It might have been you, Marcus. I'm not entirely sure, but somebody did leave a comment that... I think it might have been you, Marcus. Arnold Lobel, the author, he was actually a homosexual, and it was thought of by his daughter and other people that Frog and Toad was part of him learning to come out, because he later divorced his wife and he passed away, and I want to say the 80s, 87 maybe a little earlier, but of course it can only be earlier or later unless it's that exact year. And the reason I didn't put that in there was because it was speculation. His daughter said, I think it might have been, and people say it might have been, but I didn't get that at all from Arnold Lobel. So part of me wanted to, part of me did want to mention that, but at the same time, since it was speculation, I also made the decision not to put it in there. So looking back, maybe I should have. I'm still figuring that out, that there's sometimes little minutia, little things in there that I'm not quite sure if I should put them in there or not. But I knew for this one, I wanted to have the facts to make the video. So I didn't want to say, well, because if there's speculation on one thing, then if there's speculation on another, how many people are saying it to the point where, because this is on the internet, so if you read it in print, you don't know if it's 1,000 people making the same comment or the same observation, or if it's one person. So that's why I didn't put that in there. I don't even remember how we got to that point. Oh, the history video. Yeah. So, let's see. Joey Baseball and Animaniacs. Chicken Boo was my favorite. All Chicken Boo ever wanted was to get some honest work. And he was good at everything he did, but they would fire him once they learned he was a chicken. He was also my favorite. I know in the reboot, they did an episode where all the old characters were being mounted on the wall. They were being hunted, and it turned out Chicken Boo was the hunter. I always liked him. They said he was the least popular character. I liked him, and I liked Slappy, I think it was. Like, those were the two ones that I never saw on there, hardly ever. And I liked the little girl with her dog, too. That was a fun one. I liked them all. All the side characters were really good. But I liked them a little more than I think the actual Animaniacs, because they were more centralized stories. Danny, I mean, it's stereotypical to say Yakko's my favorite, but it's true. Yakko's great. There's 3 of them, and none of them are bad. They're all great. So anyone you say, I could be like, oh yeah, maybe that's my favorite too. No, that's a good choice. It's not stereotypical, Danny. Joey Baseball. Personal question. What made you want to make your online persona a goose? Unless you're an actual goose who learned how to speak English and use the internet. Well, I can tell you it's not that, because I can barely speak English and I do not know the internet at all. So as far as doing the goose, I'll be 100% honest. I didn't know what to call the channel. I thought it was going to be a throwaway. I thought I was just going to do that one Robot Jones video. So I just thought it's kind of a silly thing. And one thing I noticed about Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Maybe we'll go into it a little deeper further. But yeah, I honestly thought it was going to be one video, and then I would check up on it a year later and see 300 people watch the video, and it would be something easy to remember. But yeah, it was just, it's the goose. It's the goose. That's kind of it. I wish there was more of a, maybe I'll come up with a cool backstory sometimes. Maybe for an April Fool's video, how the goose got started. Marcus Blackwell. Arthur did a special with the Backstreet Boys. Well, that's not a sentence I thought I would read. Yeah, that's funny though. I gotta check that out. Marcus Blackwell. I commented on that community post that was posted shortly after the video. Thank you, Marcus. See, you get it. I want to hear everybody's recommendations, so I'll make a community post at some point in the coming weeks, and because I want to know what you folks want coming up, what kind of videos. This has been really helpful, knowing that you guys want history videos, that you want videos about Animaniacs or certain things. So puppet videos, or I think I already said puppet videos, but it does help. I like this. Joey Baseball. Maurice Sendak acknowledged that he had kept his homosexuality hidden, knowing that bias toward him being a gay man working in children's literature would have negatively affected his budding career. Yeah. I mean, hey, that's definitely, up for consideration for Arnold Lobel, excuse me. I don't know if that's why. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when he had come out. I think it was maybe before. I don't know if it was before or after Frog and Toad, but again, I didn't want to put that in as the inspiration for the characters because I didn't know if that was true or not. Let's see. Joy Baseball, but I love Maurice Sendak's work, like Little Bear and Where the Wild Things Are. Oh yeah, Little Bear and Little Bear, yeah, it turned out to be a great TV show too. And Where the Wild Things Are, I mean, that book is as classic as there's just no art style like it I've seen in children's literature. Even having not read it since I was a little kid, I can just see that. I can imagine. I know what all the monsters look like. I didn't see the movie. The movie wouldn't be a bad one to do. I know it's not animated, but I haven't done all animated videos on the channel. But yeah, that was a good one. I always, as a kid, I was told that I liked Goodnight Moon. So it's a story of a little bunny, and he's in bed going to sleep, and he says goodnight to, like, good night table, good night chair, good night moon. It's funny. The other one I guess I liked as a kid, as a very little kid, was Are You My Mommy? And it was a story about a little duckling, and he loses his mom, and so he keeps going to animals asking, Are you my mommy? Let's see here. Marcus Blackwell, next time you do videos where there's speculation or research, just put a disclaimer. That's a good point. Yeah, I should just mention it. Looking back, I think that's the biggest regret I have on that video, not putting that in there. But I had just made the decision based on that factor where I wanted to only put in factual things. And I should have put in, well, this is because it wouldn't have been a big deal to just say, well, this is possibly this. But I'll go ahead and do that next time. That's a good comment. Thank you, Marcus. So let's see. Do you do one on if you give a mouse a cookie? It has a cartoon. I didn't know that. All right. I'll check that out. Yeah, I do like that. I kind of try to go with the videos too. I want to do the opposites as often as I can. That's a big thing in my life that I like. I like doing the opposite. Like, I had done Susie Q, which I really like doing. It was a live action movie. And then I decided after, I want to do something really, really kid friendly. And then now I'm doing Banjo the Woodpile Cat, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. And the next one is going to be different. The rest of the year is going to be good, but I'm so excited for next year. I'm telling you, you have no idea. Joey Baseball. I used to like the Muppets, but I kind of fell off after the Muppet fan base attacked Elmo. And what did Elmo do? The only reason you hate Elmo is because he had a popular toy laugh when you tickled him. Oh, I didn't know there was that much Elmo hate. I thought it fell off around Muppets. I mean, not me personally, but I thought people kind of got... The Muppets have always been interesting. They're real short bursts of a franchise that people love them when they're on the mind, but then, like, the Muppets movie that came out with Jason Segel, that was a really good movie. People loved it. And then they're like, we're going to make a Muppets TV show starring the Muppets again. and with Miss Piggy hosting a talk show. And we're gonna have Muppets Most Wanted, which was great. I think Muppets Most Wanted might have been better. I mean, it wasn't the cohesive giant story that that the Muppets was, but Muppets Most Wanted was really, really funny. I really liked that. The music is great in it. It was, I don't know, Muppets have always just been sort of, they work really well on things like YouTube and special guests. Like there was the, who was it? Swedish Chef versus Gordon Ramsay short. Like they work so well as like just guests. So I don't know. It's the Muppet Company. I feel like don't get too greedy. Like once you have a hit, just let the Muppets kind of star in that guest role, and then just, I don't know. That's a tough one. Joy Baseball, I actually found you on the Sheep in the Big City video because that's one of my favorite shows, and it's a deep cut. That is such a good show. People message me about that one all the time, and I'm talking like I had anything to do with this show. I just made a video where I messed up the last 5 minutes of the... and I'll tell you why I kept... So I messed up the last 5 minutes because there was actually, with the software, a editing problem where it wouldn't register the vocal track I did for the conclusion of the video, but if I did not use that cut of the video, it was going to delete the whole thing, and I kind of wanted to get it done on that timeline, and so I kept it there, one, because it was a lot of work that with really old software that I had that was not the greatest to use, and two, because I wanted it to be a lesson that I should really give myself more time before a deadline. So I have people all the time, hey, the end is funky. The end's not right. I know. That's a regret, because I think that might be one of my best videos if that is fixed. And it's not even a great video, but I like it. But again, it's, one of the only reviews on the thing. And of course, the ending is messed up. Marcus Blackwell, if you want a documentary on the Muppets about Jim Henson, Defunctland made a mini-series about that. Man, this Defunctland guy makes a lot of things. Joey Baseball, there was a ton of Elmo hate because he had a popular toy. There was a ton of Barney hate. Yes, because Barney told kids they were special and that he loved them. The Muppets are as bad as Star Wars fans. Yeah, there was that Barney documentary that came out recently. Which was pretty interesting. I didn't see it, but it was about how people hated Barney so much. I definitely want to watch that. And I've actually considered doing one of those videos about giant character suits, like Gullah Gullah Island or Barney, something like that. I think that'd be pretty interesting too. But man, those are a lot of episodes. You don't find many 1 season, 10 episode or 20 episode shows like that. Marcus Blackwell, I think I found you on the Charlotte's Web video. That was a fun one. I like that video a lot. Joey Baseball, it's crazy because on September 1st, the popular Klasky Supo show, The Wild Thornberrys, turned 25. It features Tim Curry as Nigel Thornberry. Oh, I didn't know he did the voice. I guess it makes sense. That's a great show. That art style is really unique too. I remember that and As Told by Ginger. I always wanted to watch As Told by Ginger. I just kind of was growing out of watching... I don't know if I was super interested in watching a show about Ginger. I like Pepper Ann, though, speaking of redhead cartoon characters. But yeah, I would give As Told by Ginger a shot. So we got about 5 minutes left. So this is a good time, really quick. I just kind of wanted to bring up one last thing. Princess Ichigo, I'd love to see a video on a big suit character. On big suit characters. Yeah, so exactly. That's one I've got planned for next year. So stay tuned, Princess. Joey Baseball, Binya Binya, Pollywog is a deep cut. Ooh, I haven't heard of that. I'll have to check that out. Okay, so I want to get to one last thing. I mean, we can talk all night, honestly. But have you ever thought about, we'll do one more chat really quick before I get into this spiel. Marcus Blackwell, have you ever thought about doing videos on religious Christian shows? I have done, I have actually. I was considering Davy and Goliath for a while, but I think that's a little too on the nose. I do have a couple that I've been considering, but we'll see when I get to those. Because again, I have about 15 videos planned for next year. And like I said, I think I'm going to take December off. I'm still going to have a video come out, but I'm not going to work on anything for the end of the year because, well, let's go ahead and get into that. So this is kind of cool news. I want to know what you all think of this. I am wanting to next year, and that's what I'm going to be working on the rest of the year in addition to getting ahead with the videos, I want to start a Patreon. I really love doing this, and it's been a lot of fun. I think last year, let me take a look, or this year, I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I want to say 9 videos this year, which is awesome. And whether or not there'd be a Patreon, I want to still have at least 9 videos. I'm going to have more. Like I said, I think I have 15 scheduled, but in the months, like I know this last year I didn't have a video January because I was working on Fern Gully. April, I think I came out with Parappa, and then, or maybe May was Parappa and Alien Song, and I took off. I took off a couple months just to work on videos, but I want to have more videos for everybody. So what I want to do with this Patreon is I want to have a couple different tiers. I'll get into the prices later because I still have to figure that out, honestly. But I also want to know what you all would think about kind of these rewards in this program. So for a Patreon, I want to have at least 3 additional videos. And I'll get into more details later, but I want to have one for January. I want to have a Patreon video January, June, and November. I want to have at least 3 additional videos, so I want 2 of them I already have scheduled. The November one, I actually want to have voted on. So I want to have a poll and a Patreon, which anybody who's there can vote. So I think it's only fair that you all who are watching get to have a big input like you have tonight in the process going forward on what videos you all want to see. Because, like I said, I try to do different videos. I try to do obscure videos. But if there's something that you all would really like to see, maybe you want to see a video on As Told by Ginger like we've been talking about, then yeah, if that's got a big enough clamoring, sure. I'd love to do As Told by Ginger. So I want to do that. I want to have additional videos, at least 3. Shout out, because anybody, shout out tier as well, because anybody who's willing to help me out as far as just putting in the time and putting in, I do this for fun. So if nobody were to join, I'd still do this, but it just sort of helps to free up some time. Really, that's what it does, and to kind of reinvest in making the equipment I use a little better. I recently got a new microphone. I'm not using it right now, but I did, from an angel investor, and I used it on Frog and Toad, and I was able to mix the sound better. And because I'd had complaints where the sound is just almost unbearable to listen to. I mean, voice aside, where the actual mixing is just, the music is too loud. And so with this new microphone, I was able to get that a little under control for Frog and Toad. So I really want to just reinvest in the channel. I mean, that's kind of the long and short of it. I wanted to do one more thing for one of the tiers. I wanted to have video notes. So as I said before, I watch every episode of every show that I do a review on. I watch every movie. I watch it 2 or 3 times. I have to. It's just sort of the process that I go through. But I want to show you all the notes that I come up with for when I'm doing the observations, because they come out somewhat similar, but there's a lot of things I don't talk about in the reviews, and a lot of things I leave out. And sometimes it just would get too big if I mentioned everything. So I think that'd be a really fun look into the creative process. So that's something else I'd like to include there. And then, as I said before, voting in a poll for an end of the year video. And just things that you all want to see. I want to be able to connect with you folks and really just put out content that you all would be interested in. The other 2, like I said, I'll get into pricing later. I'm still getting that figured out, but I want to make it accessible enough, because I want to be doing more work on the channel. I want to be doing the channel more, is to have episode reviews. So if you can basically donate and a certain amount of money, I'm figuring it out, and get an episode of any show you want reviewed. I think that'd be really fun to discover new shows, and sometimes that might jog my brain like, wow, this is really interesting. Maybe I'll do a whole thing on this. So that's something else I wanted to do, and then a whole series review or a movie review. So if those sound interesting to any of you, or if there's other things that you would like to see in a potential Patreon, please let me know. Again, I've been reading all the comments tonight, so I'm going to try and go back over them so I can write them down in my notebook. But I'd like to see what you all think of that. And so let's go back to the chat. We'll finish this up here. As told by Ginger is Dope, Joey Baseball. I've got to check that out. Binya Binya is the costume character from Gullah Gullah Island. Oh, okay. Thank you, Joey Baseball. Marcus Blackwell, I have a recommendation for a Christian series, Angel Wars. It's short enough and it's not too forceful with its lessons. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. And I don't want to give the impression that I don't want to watch longer videos. Sometimes I'll do a shorter one just because I can get it out of the way and then do a longer review. Like there's a show I've wanted to do, but it's like 60 episodes and it's called Wait Till Your Father Gets Home. It's sort of the precursor to The Simpsons and and Family Guy. And I want to do that, but I just, the time I spend watching that one show, I can get 2 videos done. So I am, like I said, going to be working ahead to get those videos done so I can have more time to watch longer videos and longer movies. So yeah, I hope you guys don't think that I'm just trying to only review short stuff. Let's see. Joey Baseball. Patreon is one source, but there's also sorry, it cut off a little bit, Joey Baseball. There's also something that is a little more flexible for a lot of people. Okay. If you wouldn't mind sending me that again in the chat, just so I can take a look at it. Marcus Blackwell, respectfully, I don't use Patreon, but it sounds fun. I know do a video on Pee-wee's Playhouse as a tribute to Paul Rubens. Pee-wee's Playhouse would be a good one. Again, there's so much Pee-wee, so many Pee-wee videos. If there was like something obscure about Pee-wee, like maybe a Pee-wee mini movie, or even if I did the Pee-wee and John Lovett's character, I think he was the liar in Saturday Night Live. That I would even do that one. Let's see here. Joey Baseball. Are we ever going to do another live stream? This will be the final question of the night. It's called Ko-Fi? Okay, sorry, I didn't know if it was cutting off or if it was an I. It's called Ko-Fi. I will look that up. Are you ever going to do another live stream? I am so glad you asked that, Joey Baseball. Yes, I am. I just have to figure out when a good time is to do it. Getting this one figured out as far as the technical aspect, I've got a long way to go. I was working all day on it, but it turned out way better than I thought it would. Not because of anything I did, but because of you all that showed up. So Marcus Blackwell, Joey Baseball, Princess Ichigo, and Danny, and I think that was pretty much it. We had a pretty tight Doggy Rascal too. We had a pretty tight group here, but it was really cool. It was so fun, and I do want to do it again. If you guys would be interested, though, in having, because I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I don't know who was here for it, other content creators or just people who are, just let me know if there's any personalities that you'd like to see on a stream. It doesn't have to be for the entire time. It can be for 20 minutes, half an hour. But I'd say this went really well, and it was a lot of fun. And again, it's either going to be the 10th or the 17th. I'm actually going to be working on Banjo right after this. Banjo the Woodpile Cat. That's going to be coming out. It's Don Bluth's first Bluth Studios produced film. That's going to be a really good video. I'm really excited about it. And man, there's so many videos I want to tell you all about, but I'm gonna hold my breath. I'm gonna not do it. I don't want to ruin it, but we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up for the end of the year. I'll read the last one. Joey Baseball. There's Pee-wee in Cheech and Chong, where he drops multiple F-bombs. Yeah, that's true. All right, folks. Well, hey, I really appreciate you all being here. It was a lot of fun. I'll post in the community tab. Also, I'm on Instagram. I'm going to be posting on that more, and I'm going to be posting on Reddit more. I have to learn how to use Reddit. I just have to learn how to do it because I live in the 21st century. But yeah, if you want to give a follow there, I post just clips from the new reviews I'm going to be posting up, and just kind of did you knows, and that's where you'll see actually the new stuff I'm going to be reviewing in the future before it comes out on YouTube. So give that a check out as well. But I'm anticipating doing another live stream I think I'm going to, like I said, take December off. So I'll probably see you folks in a few months. So if there's anything you want to talk about up then, or anything you want me to watch or check out, hey, we'll be talking about the new Tiny Toons Looniversity by that time. Oh, man. All right. I'm getting excited again. Marcus Blackwell, in case I don't see you, I hope to see you soon. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend in the U.S. And yeah, I hope everybody has a really fantastic night and a great rest of the week. And September 10th or 17th, I'll let you know. Banjo the Woodpile Cat. That's coming up next. Have a great night, everybody, and thanks again for joining me. Bye.